Welcome to Weekly Reads episode 10. My name is Annalise Christine. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back if you've seen one of my videos before. Today we're going to talk about the 8 books I finished from March 9th to March 17th. This was part of our spring break, so I read a few more books than normal, but we're just going to talk about them. They'll be listed down below if there's ones that you specifically want to hear about. The first one I finished was Northanger, Abbey by Jane Austen. I picked this book because it was on the Rory Gilmore book list, and my goal is to read all of the books that were mentioned in the Gilmore Girls series. I just think it's a fun thing, and it definitely takes me out of my comfort zone. This book is a classic, but it has a gothic twist to it because our main character Catherine likes gothic books, and so it plays on that. She's very much living in a gothic book, and so we get to see her coming of age. There's boys, there's friends. I will be the first one to admit that I'm not a Jane Austen fan, and obviously that is not for lack of trying. I understand why so many people like it. They're not books for me, but I continue to try, and this one was probably my favorite Jane Austen book that I have read. I did end up giving it 3.75 stars. Speaking of Gilmore Girls, I listened to the third Gilmore by Kelly Bishop. She is Emily Gilmore, the grandma in the Gilmore Girls series, and so this book takes us through not only the Gilmore Girls series and Kelly's role in it, but also how she grew up and her dancing career and how she transitioned and why she transitioned into acting. Also get to see her love life throughout this, and then ultimately what was going on behind the scenes of the Gilmore Girls series, which is always fun because I do really enjoy that series, and I ended up giving that book 4.5 stars. I did finish Northanger Abbey on the 9th, and I finished the third Gilmore on the 10th. The second book I finished on the 10th was Caught Up by Liz Tomford. This is the third book in the Windy City series where we follow Kai. Kai is a baseball player and found out that he has a son. The mom dropped him off on his doorstep. Now he's working on balancing baseball and his son. The team is very, very supportive of that, but also are a little bit annoyed because he could not keep a nanny to save his life. And so the coach's daughter, Miller, who's a world-renowned chef working on a big magazine piece at the end of the summer, just needs a break because she cannot get any recipe right, even simple recipes, and she wants to spend more time with her dad, so they think this is a perfect solution. She can watch Kai's son for him, and she gets to hang out with her dad. So obviously Kai and Miller spend a lot of time together throughout this book. I really enjoyed this book, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I finished 2 books on the 12th. The first one was Home of Our Hearts by Robin Jones Gunn. This is the second book in the Todd and Christy marriage years. Todd and Christy have 2 weddings to go to across the ocean. One is Todd's dad. He's getting married to a woman that Todd really enjoys, but it's definitely a change for Todd, and so Todd is wrestling with that and doesn't always express all of the feelings he's feeling. And then the second wedding is Katie. Katie and Christy were best friends throughout Christy and Todd college years, as well as through a lot of the Christy Miller series when she's in high school, and so it's really been fun to watch their relationship grow. It's their journey to that wedding because there is a medical issue right before they leave, not with them but a close family member, and her aunt and uncle are also supposed to come with her, and they are Todd and Christy's biggest fans, and they're very wealthy, but they like to put their nose and thoughts and feelings into a lot of things and have very strong opinions, especially her aunt Marnie, so that's always an adventure, and I ended up giving that book 4 stars. The second book I finished on the 12th was The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. This is an adult psychological thriller where we meet Thursday, who's in a polygamous relationship with Seth, but their polygamy is very different, where Seth moves between these 3 women and they don't even live in the same cities, and so he spends 2 nights with Thursday and splits his time with the others. There's a day for travel in there, and he keeps them very separate in the fact that Thursday doesn't even know the other 2's names. She knows one is pregnant and knows a little bit about their history. Every time Seth comes to her, she tries to make it perfect, but then one day she sees a receipt in Seth's jacket and it has a name on it who she assumes is the pregnant wife, and so she goes on a search to find her and the other wife, and things start unraveling and things might not be as they appear. And that's all I'm gonna say, because this is a really twisty book. The very end was very unexpected. A coworker recommended this and her and I were talking about it. So these books are definitely ones I enjoy. I don't like reading them back to back, but just like sprinkling them in. Oh, and they really get me and keep me on my toes. With that being said, I've been really enjoying listening to the audiobook because a lot of these books have different sound effects and things that just make the book even better. That is the second book I finished on the 12th, and I ended up giving that book 4 stars. I finished no books on the 13th, but 2 books on the 14th. The first one was Conceal, Don't Feel by Calonita. This is part of the Twisted Tale series where they take Disney movies and twist them. And so in this book, Anna and Elsa do not grow up together. And so a lot of the scenes in the book are very similar, but Anna grows up with a baker and wants to make it to Arendelle, to the big city, and maybe even bake at the castle. Kristoff is in her town, but they don't know each other very well. They just are acquaintances. And so they do end up with Sven on an adventure to get Elsa, because Elsa is the queen. And so with Anna not being in the castle, Hans tries to go after Elsa. Ultimately, Elsa does show her magic, and Anna and Kristoff end up going after her. There's lots of similar scenes. There are additional scenes because Anna and Elsa don't know each other. I really liked this twist. I feel like it gave me exactly what I wanted from these types of books, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. The second book I finished on the 14th was Barbarian's Redemption. This is the 12th book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. This series is an adult, spicy alien romance, and in this book, our male main character is Beck. Beck wants a mate so badly that he ends up buying some humans on the black market. He does not see anything wrong with this because other humans have crashed and just loved it there, so he doesn't understand why asking others to bring humans there is bad. But he definitely works through it throughout the book because our female main character is Ellie. Ellie doesn't really talk. She's very shy. She was taken when she was really young and has been a slave for a long time, so she has learned some very sad habits. And so Beck is trying to get her to talk, get her to eat, get her to want to live. And through that, Ellie is able to eventually explain to Beck why this was such not a good thing. I liked the relationship and Beck coming to that realization. I wanted Ellie to be a little bit stronger, but I understand with all the trauma that she's been through that just wasn't who she was. I did end up giving this book 3.5 stars. The very last book is Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks. This is the second book in the Night Angels trilogy, so I don't want to give too much away, but Kyler, our main character from our first book, has to start over because most of the people that he cares about have died. His girlfriend wants him to leave all of his old life behind as they are transitioning to the new city, and Kyler's really struggling with that. I will say this is a epic fantasy that's set in like medieval times, and that is very clearly demonstrated with the role of women. And so it is not a feminist book. The women are either very pure or in brothels. There is a very distinct difference. It does add to the story at times, but it also frustrated me at times in these books in general. And his girlfriend is on the pure side of it. But in this book, Kyler's really just trying to decide what he wants his life to look like from here. It is a very long book, but I don't want to give anything away, so that's where I'll leave it for that book. And I ended up giving that book 3.75 stars. So those were the 8 books I finished from March 9th to March 17th. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you think you know a book that I would like to read, or if you've read any of these books, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye!